Hello students. Today we are going to learn two topics, and that is beekeeping and fisheries. Beekeeping is also called apiculture. Okay, here api, the word api means honeybee and to culture means to cultivate. Okay, so here honeybee is cultivated for the production of honey and it is called apiculture. Okay, so beekeeping, or it is also called apiculture, and it is the maintenance of hives. This is the house of the honeybee. Okay, it is called hives of honeybees for the production of honey. It has been an old age, means age old cottage industry. We are doing this from the past. Okay, so many years before we have started this type of cultivation. Honey is a food of a high nutritional value and also finds uses in the indigenous system of a medicine. It is found that honey has so many qualities, so many good qualities, and it is also useful and medicinal purpose also. Okay, from old age we are doing this. Honeybee also produce bee wax. This is the secondary product. Okay, it is found from the honey beekeeping or apiculture. Okay, this is secondary product. It is also very important product. Okay, so honeybee also produce bee wax. So from this industry, from the apiculture, we are getting two type of products. First main product is the honey and second is the bee wax, which finds many uses in the industry, such as means bee wax is very useful in some industries like a preparation of cosmetics, okay, and polishes of various kinds, means is the huge use of the bee wax. The increased demand of honey has led to large scale beekeeping. Nowadays we are doing this is a large scale. Okay, and it has become an established income generating industry. Okay, income generating industry means high amount of money we are getting from that, whether practiced on a small scale or on a large scale. It is no matter we are practicing on the large scale or a small scale, but it is very much good source of income. Beekeeping can be practiced in any area, means you don't require much specific area. Okay, but you just require what? There are sufficient bee pastures of some wild shrubs, okay, fruit orchids and cultivated crops. This is the sufficient for the keeping bee, honeybee. There are several species of honeybees which can be reared. Okay, we can cultivate so many type of honeybees. Out of this, so many types are there, but out of this, the most common species is Apis indica. This is the scientific name for a honeybee, that is Apis indica. Okay, it is very highly grown, or we can say cultivated in India. Beehives can be kept in a one's courtyards. Okay, on the veranda also we can keep it. Then veranda of the house or even on the roof. Okay, beekeeping is not labor intensive. It did not require much labor work. Honeybees are social insects and living in colonies exhibiting polymorphism. What is a polymorphism? They are of three kinds. Means in their colonies you can see workers, drones, they are male honeybees, then queen, they are female honeybees, and very clear cut division of labor is also found. Means all the type of a honeybee will have a different specific work and specific labor division. Okay, three type of individual or caste are found in the colony of honeybee, and that is queen, drones and workers. Okay, so let me see what queen work and what is the function of drone and what is the functions of workers. Queen is the only fertile female. Okay, so reproduction is the male function of a queen. Okay, so queen is the only fertile female which lays the eggs. Okay, so main function of the queen is what? To lay the eggs or a reproduction. Drones are a fertile males. Means here also drones are also participating mainly in the reproduction. And drones are fertile males which mate with the queen. Their number in the colony is not much. Their number is limited. The sting and wax glands are absent. So in drone you cannot find a sting or a wax gland. Workers are the sterile female. Actually this sterile female, okay, are acting as a worker, means that female that do not participate in the reproduction. Okay, this type of female cannot do a reproduction because they are non-fertile. Okay, and that's why sterile female will do as a labor work. So they are called workers and perform various duty of the colony. Okay, so main nectar collection and all that is the performance of workers. The worker bees are the darker, smallest number of a colony, means they are the smallest member of the colony. They have chewing and lapping type of mouth parts. Okay, modified for the collecting of a nectar. Okay, so especially their mouth parts are designed to collect the nectar from the flower. Pollen of the flower. Okay, they can collect the pollen of the flowers also. The abdomen contain the wax gland. Specific gland is found, that is a wax gland, because their work is to do a hives. Means they have to form the hives of honeybee, and that's why they require wax gland, because honeybee hive is formed by using wax gland. Okay, and they also possess sting, because during nectar collection they have some protection, they require some protection, and for that purpose they will require sting to protect themselves from the enemies. Wax gland is very important gland found in the honeybee, and that is glandular area secreting wax, lies on the ventral surface of the last four visible segment of the abdomen, means is it found on the abdominal region. Okay, wax is secreted through minute pores in the form of flat scales. Okay, and it is masticated by the mandible before it used as a building of the cells of the honeycomb. So wax, main purpose of the wax secretion is to form honeycomb. You can see here this is the honeycomb, and that is formed by using wax, and that will be act as a house for the honeybee, and what we are calling it as a hives, and this is called honeybee hives. Okay, and in general we are calling it as a honeycomb. Sting is the modified ovipositor of the bees and used for injecting poison for the protection. As I told you, during nectar collection, they will have some enemies. Okay, they will have to protect, themselves from the enemies, and for that purpose they will have sting, and that is a modified ovipositor. Okay, and one very important structure is a royal jelly. Very important component is the royal jelly. Let me understand what is it. Royal jelly is secreted by the maxillary gland of the worker bees to feed young larvae. Here you can see young larva is there. So honeybee come with the nectar. Okay, it will be pour that nectar along with that juices. Okay, the gastric juices is also incorporated in that, and that will be poured inside this honeycomb. Okay, and you see here larva is present in the honeycomb. In each box is one larva is there. Okay, and it will be act as a nutritional purpose, means that honeybee, whatever nectar is collected by the honeybee will act as a nutritional food for the larva, and that is secreted by maxillary gland of the worker bees. Means royal jelly is secreted by the maxillary glands of the worker bees to feed young larvae, and whoever the larva consume this royal jelly well destinated to develop into future queen. The rest will act as a workers. Okay, and whoever get the royal jelly as a means food, they will act as a future queen. Beehives or a nest of a honeybees are form of a secretion from the wax glands of a worker. So these all beehives are the, or we can say nest, because it is a house for the honeybee. Okay, and it is form of the secretion from the wax gland of the workers. It consists of two layers of hexagonal chamber of the cell. It consists of two layers. Okay, some chambers are packed with the honey and the pollen. They are called as a storage cell. Okay, in these also some will store for the pollen grain and honey. Okay, and that's why they are called storage cells. Okay, and are closed with the lid of a wax, and then it will be closed with the wax, and wax lid will be there. In other chambers, young ones are brought up. Means in all chambers there is not young ones. Okay, in some chamber there is a storage house in which some honey and pollen will be stored. Okay, and lid will be packed with the wax. Then in the chamber, in some chambers young ones are brought up, and some chambers in which young ones are brought up, that is called brood cells. Okay, so some will act as a brood cells and some will act as a storage cells. So by this way this honeycomb is also distributed. The latter are different sizes to accommodate different castes. Beekeeping is very easy. Okay, so beekeeping, though it is relatively very easy method, does require some specialized knowledge. Okay, it requires some specialized knowledge. There are several organizations that teach in the beekeeping methods. Okay, the following points are important for the successful beekeeping, and that is, first is the knowledge of the nature and the habits of the bees. It is very important point. Selection of a suitable location for keeping the beehives. Okay, then third point, catching and hiving of the swarms, that is a group of bees. Management of beehives during different seasons. Okay, and handling and collection of honey. So these all points, these all knowledge is required during beekeeping or apiculture. Okay, and bees are the pollinator of many of our crop species. Okay, you had already learned in the chapter number 2, such as sunflower, brassica, apple, and pear. Okay, they are act as a pollinator. Keeping beehives in the crop field, this is very useful. Along with that, we are producing honey as well as wax. Along with that, we also get some other benefits. Like see, keeping beehives in the crop field during flowering period increase the pollination efficiency. Okay, and improves the yield, beneficial both from point of view of crop yield and honey yield. So by this way, we can get the both the points, means both the benefits. Okay, we are getting the honey also, and we are getting the crop also. So both crops we are getting together parallelly. Next topic is fisheries. So let me see what is a fishery. Fishery is an industry devoted to the catching, processing or a selling of a fish. Okay, not only fish, it also includes shellfish or other aquatic animals like crabs, prawns and like that. A large number of our population is dependent on fish or a fish products. Okay, and other animals also like a prawn, crabs, lobster, edible oyster like that. Some of the freshwater fishes, means some fishes are freshwater fishes and some fishes are from the marine water. Okay, so you have to know the names of the freshwater fishes and the marine fishes. It may be asked in your NEET examination and also in the boards. So it is very important to know. Some of the fresh fishes which are very common include katla, rohu and common carp. Okay, this is the common fishes which are freshwater fishes. Some of the marine fishes that include is the hilsa, sardine, mackerels and the pomfret. These are the marine fishes. So these all fishes are very important. Fisheries has an important place in Indian economy. Okay, and it provide income and employment, not only the income, and also it also provide employment to the workers, to millions of fishermen, farmers, okay, particularly in the coastal states. And you know very well our India has large coastal area, even in our Gujarat also large coastal area. So our people or Gujarat people or Indian people is highly based on this fisheries industry. For many, it is the only source for the livelihood. Okay, they have the main source of income. In order to meet the increased demand of fisheries, different techniques have been employed to increase production. Even in other countries, I mean in the abroad also, it is highly demanded. I mean Indian fish demand is highly increasing day by day. For example, through aquaculture and pisciculture. Aquaculture and pisciculture. Pisciculture is specifically for the fish. Okay, if you cultivate fish for the economy purpose, okay, then it is called pisciculture. And along with the fish, you are also cultivating other organisms also like prawns, crabs and all that. Then it is called aquaculture. This is a minor difference between aquaculture and pisciculture. Okay, if specifically you are cultivating fish, then it is called pisciculture, and other also, then you can include it into aquaculture. We have been able to increase the production of aquatic plants and animals, both freshwater and marine. Okay, these has led the development and flourishing of the fishery industry, and it has brought a lot of income in the farmers and particular and in the country in general. Okay, it for the particular or individually it is very beneficial to the farmers, and if you take it as a general, then it is very beneficial to country and main source of income. We can say that after agriculture, fisheries industry stands the second position. Okay, for in terms of Indian economy. Due to advancement in fisheries industry, we now talk about blue revolution. So whatever the advancement occur in the fishing industry or a fisheries industry, it is called blue revolution. As being implemented along the same lines, the green revolution, what we will learn in next lectures. So in this chapter, we have gone through a white revolution already. Okay, in previous lecture we have learned about white revolution, that is from the Dr. Verghese Kurian, and that is for the dairy industry related revolution. Then in this lecture we have discussed about blue revolution, that is for the aquatic culture related or pisciculture related revolution. And in next lecture we will learn about agricultural related revolution, and that is called green revolution. In India, in field of agriculture, so many revolution occur, and combinedly they all are called rainbow revolution. Okay, and here you can see milk related revolution is called white revolution, potato round revolution, tomato meat, that is a red revolution, eggs silver revolution, oil seed related, that is a yellow revolution, food grain, that is a green revolution, petroleum product, that is also black revolution, then horticulture and fruit related, that is a golden revolution, and blue revolution, that is a fisheries. So in this chapter we will learn, in our syllabus there is only a white revolution we have learned already, that is the milk related revolution or dairy industry related. Then green revolution we will learn in next lecture. Okay, and that is for the agricultural related or farm related revolution. Then in this lecture we have learned blue revolution, that is a fisheries related revolution. Up to this, whatever we have learned, let me summarize with the help of one animation video. So look at this video.
Animal breeding is the controlled propagation of animals to achieve desirable qualities of farm animals and increase the yield of these animals. The term breed refers to a group of animals within a species related by ancestors and possessing many similar characters such as appearance, behavior, and size. For example, Jersey and Leghorn are very popular breeds of cattle and chicken used for breeding. Animal breeding is divided into two main categories: inbreeding and outbreeding. Inbreeding is breeding between animals belonging to the same breed with a common ancestor, whereas outbreeding is breeding between animals belonging to different breeds or between the same breed but with different ancestors, or between different species. Let us learn more about inbreeding. Animals selected for inbreeding are of superior quality and are closely related for 4 to 6 generations. A superior quality cow is one that produces more milk, and a superior bull is one that is a strong draft animal and gives rise to superior offspring. Subsequently, mating is carried out between offspring which have superior qualities. Thus, inbreeding increases homozygosity in animals. That is, it results in a pure line of animals with desired characters. This is similar to Mendel's experiment that yielded homozygous pure lines in pea plants. Inbreeding also helps in the expression of desirable characters and the elimination of undesirable characters in the offspring. However, inbreeding can increase the chance of expression of recessive genes, which are harmful. If inbreeding among closely related breeds is continued, it can result in inbreeding depression, which is reduced fertility and productivity. Now let's learn more about outbreeding. Outbreeding can be carried out in 3 ways: outcrossing, crossbreeding, and interspecific hybridization. Outcrossing is mating between animals of the same breed but with no common ancestors for up to 4 to 6 generations on either side. This type of breeding overcomes inbreeding depression. Crossbreeding is mating between animals of superior quality belonging to different breeds to produce hybrids possessing superior qualities of both their parents. For example, Jersey with a long lactation period and Red Sindhi with high disease resistance are mated for a new breed with both the desired characters called Jersindh. The new breed obtained is then subject to inbreeding to increase the herd population. Another example of crossbreeding is the cross between Bikaneri ewes and Merino rams to form a new sheep breed, Hisar Dale. The third type of outbreeding is interspecific hybridization, where animals of two different species are mated. For example, mating between a male donkey and a female horse to form a new breed, a mule. Although most new breeds are infertile, they have high economic value. Both inbreeding and outbreeding can also be carried out using controlled breeding experiments. Artificial insemination is one such method. In artificial insemination, semen is first collected from the superior male. The semen is then injected into the reproductive tract or vagina of the female animal, or can be frozen for future use. Thus, artificial insemination is carried out to overcome problems in natural breeding and also to carry out mating between animals that are geographically separated. However, the success of animal breeding using artificial insemination is low, and so new techniques like multiple ovulation embryo transfer technology, or MOET, were developed. MOET involves the administration of gonadotrophic hormones like FSH and LH to female animals, which induce maturation of follicles resulting in superovulation. Superovulation is the production of 6 to 8 eggs instead of 1 egg. The superovulated female is mated with a superior male either through natural mating or artificial insemination. This results in fertilization of all the eggs. When the fertilized eggs reach the 8 to 32 cell stage, they are non-surgically removed and then implanted into different surrogate mothers for further development in a process called embryo transfer. Now, the female animal can be used for superovulation once again. In this manner, MOET helps increase the herd population containing desirable characters in a short span of time. MOET is widely carried out in animals such as cattle, buffaloes, and sheep. So different techniques such as artificial insemination and MOET, along with various inbreeding and outbreeding methods, are employed in animal breeding to produce offspring with superior qualities. Animal husbandry includes beekeeping and fisheries, in addition to cattle and poultry farming. Beekeeping, also known as apiculture, is the rearing of honeybees in artificial beehives called apiaries for the commercial production of honey. Honey is highly nutritious and an important constituent of several medicines. Also, the apiaries in which honeybees live and nurture their young ones are a source of beeswax. Beeswax is used in cosmetics and polish. Due to the increasing demand for honey, beekeeping is done both on a small and large scale. In small-scale beekeeping, 1 or 2 apiaries are kept in verandas or on rooftops, whereas in large-scale beekeeping, many apiaries are used. As the quality of the honey depends on the pasture available near the apiaries, beekeeping is usually practiced near fruit plantations and cultivated fields. Honeybees act as pollinators by helping crops like sunflower during flowering. In turn, they get nectar from the flowers. As a result, farmers get a high yield in terms of crops as well as honey. The most commonly reared honeybee species is Apis indica, also called the Indian bee. Although beekeeping is easy, it does require some knowledge and training that is provided by certain organizations. Some tips to be kept in mind are knowing the nature of the honeybees, selecting a desirable location for the beehives, controlling swarms, managing beehives during different climatic conditions, and collecting honey and beeswax. Following these tips will help carry out beekeeping successfully. Like beekeeping, fisheries are another part of animal husbandry. And relates to the rearing, catching and selling of aquatic animals such as fish and shellfish. As fish contain more proteins and less fat, they are preferred to other meats. Most commonly eaten freshwater fish include katla, rohu, and the common carp, while marine fish include hilsa, mackerel, and pomfret. Fisheries also provide products such as cod liver oil, which is a nutritional supplement, and pearl oysters that have commercial value. Consequently, it forms the livelihood of many people in coastal areas of India. As seafood like fish, prawn, crab and lobster are always in demand, several techniques like aquaculture and pisciculture are employed to increase their yield. Aquaculture is the cultivation of aquatic animals and plants for food, whereas pisciculture refers specifically to fish farming. This dramatic increase in seafood production was called the Blue Revolution, compared to the Green Revolution that brought about an increase in agricultural production.
In next lecture, we will learn plant breeding. So till that, goodbye.